Kelly A. McGlone, attorney at law. Is that right?
That is true.
I understand you know a little bit about matrimonial law. Is that also true?
That is also true, a little bit.
All right. So we're going to talk about that today, and I want you to think back to the days when you had first started practicing law, and you had gotten your first matrimonial client in. I'm sure it hasn't been all that long. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Did you feel scared a little bit?
I did.
And overwhelmed?
Quite.
All right.
But I did have some support staff, so it was okay.
Okay. Well, for the young attorneys who are following your path, the ones who are going through the bridging the gap procedure now, it must be a very daunting task to get their first or second matrimonial case in. So what I'd like to do with you today is to go through the basic steps of a matrimonial action in New Jersey and try to give some pointers, just practical advice along the way. This is going to be more substance than procedure, so to speak, okay?
Okay.
Now, there's a very unpleasant topic which has to come up at some point in the representation of a matrimonial client, and that deals with legal fees. How do you go about setting a legal fee? What are the parameters that you utilize in your own practice?
Well, normally what you do is you look at the complexity of the case. And if it seems to be, if it's an uncontested divorce, sometimes you can do that just on a flat rate fee. If it has a lot of issues, if there are a lot of assets, if there are children involved, if there are stepchildren involved, if there are homes, what kind of employment the parties have. You take all of that into consideration to establish what your retainer would be and what your fee would be.
Lots of times when you're doing different types of practice in New Jersey, let's say we're going to do an expungement for somebody, the fee that we would charge is based upon whether or not I anticipate there's going to be a fight with the prosecutor's office over some aspect of the case, or is the case just going to sail right through. So I wanted to just kind of get a little bit of a laundry list from you of some of these factors that would require an enhanced fee, okay, over and above what you would charge as a basic fee. So you've already mentioned there's children, minor children.
Correct. Well, also you also have to, your retainer fee, if you're not going to charge a flat rate, you're going to obviously charge hourly. Most matrimonials are hourly because they usually do drag on and they do become somewhat ugly at some point in time.
All right. So the things though that would, whether you're going to get a flat fee or some type of retainer you're going to bill against, minor children.
Minor children.
So that would be all the issues with respect to visitation and
custody is huge. Who's going to be the parent of primary residency? Who's going to be the parent of alternate residency?
All right. What about property?
That's another big issue. How much property is there? Is there real property? Is there how many assets do they have? Are there stocks? Are there bonds? Are there 401ks involved? The length of the marriage.
Okay. So that'll be a function of how much alimony, if any, was going to be paid out.
And child support.
Okay. What about pension and things of that nature?
That all has to come in and be factored in. Some of it may be marital. Some of it may not be marital.
Right.
Some may be, sometimes you can buy out the party that has the 401k or the pension.
But just in terms of setting the fee, that's something you should consider.
Absolutely.
Now there's an intangible associated with this sometimes too, and that's really the emotional component. These are cases that tend to generate extremely high emotions on both ends. I'm pretty sure that's been your experience, has it not?
It is, and that's where the true problem comes in, because most of these issues that we're discussing already can really easily be resolved.
Right.
The emotions come in and they muddy the waters, and then people will fight and spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars fighting over a living room chair, instead of just saying, you know what, you take the chair and I will save the thousands of dollars in legal fees and just go buy a whole new living room set. But the emotional issues get so wrapped up that people can't see through it to what's really in everybody's best interest.
Do you find that sometimes the parties will get in fights over pets as well?
Yes, and sometimes you have visitation over the pet, and then you have to do a schedule, who gets the dog on Christmas, right, who gets the dog for Christmas break, and it's a visitation schedule like a child.
I know an attorney who went through a matrimonial action, and basically he and his wife both had very high level law firms representing them. And ultimately, they both ran out of money and had to do this divorce themselves. And actually, at some point, were able to resolve their differences, but they wound up each representing himself. I think they're both attorneys, actually. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, there was no money left for anybody because the lawyers got involved. You know?
And that's what's sad, because what people don't understand is you're spending so much money on attorney's fees that you're really robbing your children, if you have children, of their security in the future.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is there is what's yours, what's his or hers, and then what's marital, what's not marital, cut it down the middle, that's pretty much what's going to happen. Everything's going to get pretty much 50-50 for the length of the marriage.
Right.
You can fight over every little thing, and at the end of the day, once the dust settles and you have now been litigating for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to be out of money, the other party's going to be out of money, and in the end, it's going to be split right down the middle, just like it started with the attorney told you in the very beginning how it would end is how it's going to end, only you're going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars behind in legal fees.
Do you ever find a situation where the people come to you initially and they say, look, this is going to be a friendly divorce, we've got it all worked out, but yet you see things in there which could blow up and it makes you a little bit skeptical? In other words, there might be friends today, but there may be a fight down the line. Do you see that happen sometimes?
That's called filing for divorce.
Okay. And is that something that would militate in favor of an increased fee?
Not necessarily, because you're going to have that irrespective of whether they're friendly or whether they're not friendly. Sometimes the most argumentative parties can quickly come together and resolve their issues.
Right.
And then sometimes you have the most amicable parties coming in and it becomes a war zone within moments.
I guess it's really...
If I could just say,
sure.
I think one of the triggering factors that has sort of helped parties resolve issues is that now New Jersey has uncontested divorces, where in the past they didn't. So even if you had parties that both knew it was over, they both wanted a divorce, in the pleadings, one party had to say something horrible about the other party just to be able to get in the door to have standing to file for the divorce.
Right, that's not in play anymore.
It's not in play anymore, thanks to the uncontested divorce.
Well, let me ask you just for some legal advice. Let's say that one or both of them comes to you. Let's just say it's one. We've got it all worked out, we're very friendly, we're buddies, we're going to continue being friends, etc. And oh, by the way, we own a house here, we own a house on the shore, we have 4 children, the children are all under the age of 10. Would you say, okay, this is a simple case and I'm just going to take a flat retainer? Or would you say, I don't care what they say, I see too many landmines ahead?
Absolutely, I would not do a flat fee on that, unless and only if the homes have already been sold or retitled to whichever party is going to have which home.
Right.
Otherwise, there are just too many factors there that will really, like you say, blow up in your face.
So when clients come to you, and again, this is really just more for the young attorneys out there, and you're going to make a determination about legal fees, you've got to look for these potential landmines. Irrespective of how friendly they tell you they are, things can change, like the weather, very quickly and in a very unhappy way.
Absolutely. And you very rarely would take a flat fee on a matrimonial matter unless there are no assets. There's really nothing to fight about. They've not been married that long. There are no 401ks. You know, they rent an apartment. In that kind of a situation, that would, and it was uncontested, that would be really the only time that you would want to take a flat fee.
Okay.
Because once you're in it, you're in it. You can't get out.
Right. So now the amount of the fee that you take as a flat fee is going to vary around the state.
Correct.
And there's market factors at work there.
And experience of the attorney and experience of the people around and how much of a support staff they have, and you know, and you don't want a new attorney to take, a brand new attorney out of law school, to take a matrimonial case without having some kind of a support system in place.
Okay.
You know, a senior attorney to look to for advice, because they get very quickly convoluted. There are a lot of required documents that need to be filed, simple steps that need to be done but get overlooked frequently.
Okay, now let's talk about the problems that are related to fees. First of all, if you take a flat fee to start your case, you're never going to have a problem because you've been paid up front.
Correct.
If you're going to bill, though, against a retainer, you're going to bill on an hourly basis, is that correct?
Correct.
You'll have a retainer agreement in either case, is that right?
Yes, and your retainer agreement has to be very, very, very specific in matrimonial.
Now, it's important that the young attorneys out there understand that if they don't have a retainer agreement, over and above any RPC violations they might be committing, they're not allowed to get paid. I mean, you can't sue for legal fees if you don't have a retainer agreement. You're not entitled to it, is that correct?
That is correct.